Good morning, boys and girls. Miss Del Plato is here today on Tuesday to discuss our large group. So we're going to start our morning off with our Rise and Shine song. So follow along.
Rise and shine and welcome to school today. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. We're so glad you're here. A little bit louder. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. We're so glad you're here. A little softer. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. We're so glad you're here. Whisper version. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. Rise and shine and welcome to school today. We're so glad you're here.
Alrighty, good morning, boys and girls. Today, Mrs. Del Plato is here to do large group. So we're going to get started off by going over our calendar. Alrighty, friends, so we were off for our winter break, right? And we are returning back now from winter break, and we are in a new month, right? So when we left school, we were still in the month of January. Now we are in the month of January. Can everybody say January? Yes, January. Now we know we're in the month of January. We need to find out what day of the week is it, right? Let's go ahead and sing our days of the week song. There's Sunday and there's Monday. There's Monday and there's Tuesday, right? So today is Tuesday, January. Now we need to find out the date. So let's go ahead and count together to see what date is today. Let's go ahead and count. Follow along with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Today is Tuesday, January 4. What day is it today? Tuesday. All right, so let's go ahead and look over here. So here we see the days of the week, right? So we know there's Sunday and there's Monday, there's Tuesday and there's Wednesday, there's Thursday and there's Friday, and then there's Saturday, right? So we know that today, right? So we just discussed that today is Tuesday, right? So that means yesterday was Monday. And who can tell me, if yesterday was Monday, today is Tuesday, that means tomorrow will be Wednesday, friends. Tomorrow will be Wednesday. Alrighty. So now let's go ahead and go along on our weather, right? So now, right before we left for our winter break, we started a new season, friends, right? And we went into the season of winter, right? The weather starts to change. It gets really cold out. I know yesterday it was really cold out, right? The weather was really cold. So let's talk about our weather. So yesterday's weather, we heard on the news that we were going to get snow, but down by Mrs. Del Plato's house, there was no snow. There was just a lot of clouds. And today's weather, when I looked outside the window this morning, I saw that it was partly sunny and partly cloudy. So make sure this morning you look out your window to see if you see clouds or sun in the sky. So the season is winter, and the weather today is partly cloudy and cool, right? It is chilly outside. All right, so before we get started with our message, let's look up here at our daily schedule for the day so you guys know. So we know right now we're doing our group time. Then we're going to move on to our small groups. Then you guys are going to play and have centers and do an assignment at home. Then you're going to move on to your gross motor. You're going to have lunch. You're going to have some rest time. You're going to listen along to Mrs. Del Plato's read aloud. we're going to meet for math small group. You're going to have art with Miss Cox, and that's going to be the ending of your day. So right now, friends, where are we? Yes, we are at group meeting. After group meeting, we're going to be meeting live for our small group, right? So I'm going to remember to move my arrow down to small group. So before we go on with our message, just like we talk about in the classroom, right? Before we move on to centers and we do our small groups, we always remember that we want to make green choices, right? We never want to make red choices throughout the school day. So let's go over some green choices that we can make at home while we're learning, just as if we were in the classroom with Mrs. D and Miss V. So remember to clean up, right? If you're playing at home and you're playing blocks or you're drawing art, make sure to clean up your mess. Remember to give hugs, right? Give mommy and daddy, your brothers or sisters a hug. Make sure to always be a friend. Look at the speaker, right? So when we're on the computer learning, always make sure your eyes are watching Mrs. D. Listening ears, right? We're sitting nicely in our spot, in our learning spot at home. We're helping others, right? You can help mommy at home just by cleaning up your mess without her asking. Make sure to always put your things away and raise your hand when you would like to share something special. So always remember to make green choices to have a great day. Alrighty, so now we're going to move on to our message of the day. So Mrs. D is going to just move the screen. And here, just like we do in school, we have our, who can tell me, what is this board called? Yes, a writing board. My big whiteboard here is called my writing board. So before we get started, Mrs. D is going to introduce our new sight word. And our new sight word is the word did. Did. Let's spell it. D-I-D. Did. The new sight word of the week is did. Now we're going to look up here at our vocabulary word. My vocabulary word for the week is button, right? Button. Here you see a picture of a button. And think about it in your head. Where do we find a button? Yes, usually we find a button on, some of us have buttons on our school shirts. Some of us have buttons on our jacket. Even a sweater. Miss D is wearing a sweater right now. I don't have a button, but most of my sweaters have buttons on them so I can close my sweater to keep warm. So I'm going to place my word button on my board, right? So now here is my whiteboard, friends. What is this called? A whiteboard. And what does Miss D do on her whiteboard? I write, right? I write on my whiteboard. So now we're going to talk about what Mrs. D is going to write on the board, right? So we're going to be looking for the word did. We're going to be talking about the word button, and then we're going to be identifying and looking for the letter O in our message. So before Mrs. D gets started, right, we always want to remember we want to think before we write, right? What am I going to write about today? So today in the read aloud, you guys are going to see Mrs. D reading a story, and in our read aloud, I'm going to read to you about a bear that lost his button. He looked everywhere trying to find his button. Later, we will find out if he found his button. So now Mrs. D is going to begin writing. So I'm going to think about, what am I going to write about today? So remember, when we start writing, we always begin on the left side, right? We start writing on the left and we write all the way to the right. So I'm going to remember, I'm going to begin my sentence with a capital letter. Did. There's that word did. Did you ever find a so now I get to the end. I wrote all the way to my right. I'm going to swoop to my left. Button. You had lost. So now I'm at the end of my sentence and I'm going to place a question mark. Because a question mark, I am asking you a question. So let's go ahead and read it together. Did you ever find a button you had lost? And I place a question mark because I'm asking you, did you ever find a button you had lost, right? So now we're going to look up here at my message and we're going to look for the letter O. So Mrs. D is going to take my red marker. I'm going to skim through with my pointer and see if I find the letter O. Oh, right here, I found the letter O. Mrs. D is going to take her red marker and circle the letter O. Let me skim through the rest of my sentence. I don't see any more here. I see O. I'm going to circle my O. I see the letter O in the word you. And I see an O in the word lost, right? So now Mrs. D is going to go ahead and write the letter O. We have a capital O and we have a lowercase o. So let's look up here at my word wall and tell me, what is something that begins with the letter O? Yes, octopus. Octopus begins with the letter O. Octopus. So Mrs. D is going to go ahead and write the word octopus that begins with the letter O. Also, another word that begins with the letter O is outside, right? Outside begins with the letter O. So we know that octopus and outside begin with what letter? The letter O. So now let's go ahead and count. How many letter O's did I find in my message? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we were able to find 4 letter O's in my message, right? Letter O. So now I'm going to look for my sight word. What's the sight word? Did, right? Let's spell it together. D-I-D. Did, right? So now let's read my message and let's see if I can identify the word did. Did you ever find a button you had lost? Did. Yes, that is the first word in my message. Did, right? Did is our sight word. Alrighty, so nice job, friends, doing our message, right? So today you're going to be looking for things that begin with the letter O. And Mrs. D will be sharing a video on Class Dojo of you practicing words that begin with the letter O, right? Alrighty, my friends, nice job doing our morning message, and I will see you shortly. All right, happy Tuesday. See you soon.